Hi, I am Holden Harrington, and this is my electronics project. I built an RC car with two stepper motors and an RGB color sensor that detects red, green, and blue. And here you're about to see it follow a color track and be able to follow it all on its own. Now here it's about to detect the color blue and turn right. And here, as you can see, red is signified to go straight. And here, as it hits green, should be turning left. And then following red again, it should go straight. And now that is one way that my RC car can be powered. Now another way is through user input. Now when going to the right code, the user itself can type in where would you like to go, and if you want it to go straight on red, you can set it up over red and type in red here, and then it will detect red and then be able to follow the path. And now canceling the code, running it again, if you put it over blue, and then type in blue, once it detects blue, it'll then be able to go straight, as done. And same as with green. So here I put it over green. Once it detects green on the monitor and gets the right RGB values, it takes a little bit for it to calibrate. Then go straight. For my RC car project, I actually did not start with this 3D print. I started all the way down here with this little Japanese toy car. And little did I know I was going to have to slap on a lot of objects onto it to make it go. And so I quickly learned that this wasn't going to be able to turn at all, and it wasn't going to hold anything that I needed it to. So then I later went on to be able to 3D print my own object and have a spot for the RGB sensor and ideally a small wheel to fit in here. And then also I had back here two stepper motors that were completely enclosed. However, this was a much narrower width to it and wasn't going to be able to hold the wheels here to be able to turn the car. And so I learned to have a much wider base and to get better leverage to be actually able to turn the RC car. And then I also decided to enlarge this to have a bigger wheel in it. So with my final project, I made this much wider and I cut this in half, the actual thickness of it, just to be lighter and to conserve on 3D printing. And so this allowed me to fit the stepper motors in pretty nicely. And then over here, I made it a lot wider compared to before and found a 3D model of a wheel. And this was just a stationary wheel so that it can go forward by itself, but not able to turn. And so it kind of just drags on turning, which doesn't affect it a whole lot, thankfully. Now on top of the stepper motors and the wheels, I included a battery pack here for it to be wireless, and then put the Raspberry Pi on here and just duct taped it on. Now at one point I came into the complication of having and not having enough voltage output pins on the Raspberry Pi, because I was needing two for the RGB sensor and then one for each stepper motor. And at first I had only thought that it was 5 volts for each to be required, and so I had included a breadboard underneath here so that all 4 pins could be used. However, after doing more research, found that the RGB sensor only needs 3.3 volts from the Raspberry Pi. So that worked out very nicely. And here I simply hot glued it into place, tried getting it as low as possible so that it could get closer to detecting actual colors and get better values for it. And after that, I kind of set the wiring up here so that it wouldn't dangle as much on the ground. And then, yeah, that was the evolution of my car. I added a little Easter egg from my first car. I put a small spoiler on the back of it.